Good evening. This is Maestro with the Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast. Today, we have a 1v1 on Calderis Refinery. Our first player will be Ruthless at heart, playing as the Force Commander, and I just lost him. This is a tanky melee hero who can disrupt and buff with Battlecry. His opponent, DarkHero, will be playing as the Orc Mekboy, teleporting ranged commander who can also repair vehicles. So I've got yet another good game between Ruthless at heart and DarkHero here. This time the roles kind of reversed, with players playing the opposite of the faction that they were playing before, although a little bit of a different hero with DarkHero's Mekboy. DarkHero, definitely his Mekboy is something to be feared. He has used that to good effect in previous competitions. And we've also seen that Ruthless at heart is definitely a capable opponent. Not someone who, he did not compete in the previous seasons of, at least not the most recent seasons of Elite League or in the recent monthly Rumble. But nevertheless, his performance against DarkHero in that last game, as well as this one, really just show how capable he really is. So pretty standard builds coming out of both players. We got the Scout Tac Scout out of Ruthless at heart, the single most typical Space Marine build there is in Tier 1, and the double shooters out of DarkHero, which I think these days is probably even more common that sometimes you do see 2 or even 3 sluggers, but the double shooter is very much a tried and true classic. So early double cap for DarkHero at this time. Just kidding, I meant to say DarkHero. Early double cap for him, prioritizing the victory point, but it does look like he is losing control of the map on really both sides of it, so losing most of the resources. Here we even see the generator bash happening by the shooter boys as they do their approach. No upgrades on big shooters or shooter knob yet, so their DPS, okay, finally one big shooter does come in, but either way, their damage not quite as high as it would be otherwise, so they don't get a whole lot done, only take about 40, maybe 45% of that node. Meanwhile, they're trying to kite, but I don't think there's too much to be achieved here with this kiting. I think he was trying to see if maybe he could get them around this bend and then get the support of the shooter boys, but ultimately it just wasn't enough, and that will be DarkHero in full retreat. And, we did not see the Mekboy involved in that engagement because the Mekboy, one of the advantages of a teleporting hero is just how annoying he can be in terms of disrupting your economy. He can go for these aggressive decaps on your natural requisition points. In this case, it even looks like he's going for the full cap, which is even more oppressive. And honestly, with what I see committed here from Ruthless at heart, I think DarkHero will actually get this decap, or even this full cap, that is. Unless we can see Battlecry knock him off. He moves, and there's a special attack. Okay, so Ruthless at heart might have at least saved some. Okay, that does save a lot for him, not having to go through the decap animation. But oh my god, look at DarkHero being such a bully in this game. He got 1 decap on the requisition, now going for a decap on the natural victory point of Ruthless at heart. That hurts so much. It's actually definitely a massive disadvantage that non-teleporting commanders have against teleporting commanders. Teleporting commanders are so much better at controlling the victory points, especially the natural victory points of their opponents. They can threaten the natural victory points of their opponents in the way that non-teleporting commanders really just can't, at least not until they get some sort of jump unit, which, Ruthless at heart actually does have. So it is technically possible. But typically, teleporting commanders tend to be more energy efficient in their movement abilities than most jump squads. So Mekboy is getting the battery pack. Battery pack does actually give the Mekboy a little bit of heal. Also provides energy restoration. Assault Marines will be chasing after the Slugger Boys. Okay, now, however, the Slugger Boys will turn around, but here are 2 squads of Shotgun Scouts. There's definitely no way. Yeah, the Slugger Boys stand absolutely no chance, and if anything, they're incredibly lucky that they didn't lose any model. Okay, they do lose yet another model. I was going to say any model after their retreat and after getting focused down by the Shotgun Scouts, but eventually they do. So, double shotguns, probably going to move up, look for a generator bash, since double shotguns do actually do decent damage to generators, and also because there's already the Mekboy as well as the squad of shooter boys right here looking for this other generator bash. Force Commander looking for that flank because he knows the Tactical Marines are going to get suppressed. Oh, but the Mekboy teleports to face the Force Commander, and that will actually just be a retreat from the Force Commander. That was a short-range teleport, but switched the orientation of the Mekboy. That was actually a pretty nice play from DarkHero. So Ruthless at heart, trying to trade out as best as he can, and actually doing a decent job of it. Actually, maybe not. If he can at least finish the generators. He didn't finish the generator. Come on, okay, yeah, he knew that it was actually super important for him to finish the generator there to try to trade out as evenly as he could, because he knows he's going to lose his full farm on this side. So it's still not even a completely even trade, because the entire farm was finished here, including the node, whereas this one did not lose the node. Another generator has been put down. Assault Marines are in here, though, so it looks like Ruthless at heart not choosing to give up the generator bash pressure at this time. I thought once the response had come out of DarkHero, that would have been the end of it, but the scouts know that they can actually continue to bash. I think they did lose. They lost one model, so their bashing power is just a little bit slower. Meanwhile, it does look like DarkHero... Ooh, DarkHero... Okay, he's actually choosing to make the run all the way back to defend his own generator farm instead of... But I mean, I guess the nice thing about that is, with Ruthless at heart's response, compositionally, he just has an advantage in a lot of these fights, where the Assault Marines can just always jump on the Shooter Boys. The Shotgun Scouts will protect against anything that the Storm Boys try to do. So it's actually Ruthless at heart who comes out with the better end of this. And he doesn't have a Flamer, but it might not matter. He has control of enough of the map that he's willing and able to commit almost his entire army to bashing this generator farm. The question is, can he finish the node, or does he even want to, as the response from DarkHero comes out? Mekboy will be setting up. Assault Marines will just retreat out of there. Did they? Okay, yeah, they did not have enough energy to jump in time, so they needed to retreat. Force Commander, meanwhile, is actually moving back. Okay, he's not moving to control any more of these victory points. Sorry, not victory points, requisition points to try to disrupt DarkHero's economy. I think he anticipates that he's going to need to want to move the Force Commander back to eventually respond to this movement from DarkHero. Because if he commits the Force Commander too far on these requisition points just going for decaps, he will probably have to... He probably won't be able to answer this push with the Force Commander. However, Force Commander also does need to be wary about taking too much damage, because ideally he doesn't want the Force Commander doing this solo. He's going to need help from the rest of his army. So we see he's trying to position the Force Commander in such a way to... I was going to say, try to minimize the damage it takes, but now he's walking right into the shooters. Unfortunately, I don't think the Force Commander gets to achieve too much more. Yeah, that was a little bit unfortunate. I think he would have gotten better instead if he had wrapped around down this way and then took the fight against the Sluggers and committed Battle Cry against them. But, you know, of course, just really things that are easy to see just when you're spectating things in the moment. Much, much harder to make that decision. Assault Marines threaten the wipe, and they actually get the kill on the Mekboy. Mekboy just went too far forward, but that was traded out on a kill for the Shotgun Scouts. So inevitably, that's actually a winning trade for DarkHero, even though he lost the Mekboy first. But taking out the Scouts is a bigger prize, since those Scouts were upgraded with shotguns. That does mean that they were economically a bit more costly than reviving the Mekboy. All right, what's this call-in going to be? Is it? I mean, at this point, what else can it be other than some Tactical Marines? And those Tactical Marines are going to need some support. At least it's here. Okay, and I think with this... Assault Marines actually jump in on the Storm Boys, trying to get the disruption on the Storm Boys. But that means, so far, the Shooter Boys have not really been... Okay, there we do see some shooters going down from the grenades. But there was still a lot of outgoing damage from the Shooter Boys that could have been... just shut down if the Assault Marines had prioritized them instead of jumping on the Storm Boys. And I feel like the Storm Boys could have been controlled by other things, mainly the Shotgun Scouts. And what is this? These are some Shooter Boys. Even the Shooter Boys going for that hard flank. Probably were just looking for the victory points, but at some point they will have to contend with the Tactical Marines. Tactical Marines are only at about 60% of their health, but once they're in melee, they win quite hard. So aiming what's that is committed. Some nice play around the aiming what's that, but it looks like the Tactical... Yeah, the Tactical Marine's going to get it. Oh! That was actually very, very well played by DarkHero. He was actually just barely able to get one of the shooter models with that kiting play with the aiming what's that, and that actually makes it a winning trade for him. only losing a single model on the Shooter Boy squad. Just single tack model cost way more than a single shooter model. So very, very well done by DarkHero. I was going to mix up the player names there in that particular engagement. So still a massive victory point advantage, though, for Ruthless at heart. 498 to 316. He's about to get the double cap yet again. So despite the fact that DarkHero is playing the Mekboy and should, in theory, have the superior map control, things have been going very well for Ruthless at heart for a while now. There was definitely a point early on in the game when DarkHero pretty much controlled this entire side of the map, but since Ruthless at heart was able to win a few engagements, he was able to convert it into better map control. These Storm Boys in so much trouble right there. Oh no, that was not quite so well played by DarkHero on those Storm Boys. Lose 3 models. Unfortunately, I think committing to the Mekboy, who I like the way all those... You can actually see all the bullets coming out of the Def Gun from here. With the Mekboy committing to the Def Gun, I think that means he was not really likely to be in a position where he was going to be close enough to the Storm Boys to throw the Avataste heal on them. So they just jumped in, they led the charge, they took a lot of damage. Kind of always a problem with the Storm Boys. Naturally speaking, just any unit that's going to be a jump unit also serves the duality of being a tanking unit because of the fact that they will be, usually they're going to be leading the charge. Now, Assault Marines work quite well in that regard. They are tanky enough to really function both ways, whereas Storm Boys really don't. They are a unit that's going to initiate, but they are not tanky like the Assault Marines are. I mean, they're tankier than Shooter Boys, tankier than Sluggas, but still, it's just regular infantry armor, 950 hit points. So we see more use coming out of these Assault Marines, but an immediate retreat upon seeing this Def Dread. Def Dread is currently uncountered by Ruthless at heart, except for, I suppose, the Vengeance rounds coming out of the Stern Guard veterans. But Vengeance rounds by themselves will not be enough to contend with a Def Dread, even an unupgraded Def Dread. Now, the Vengeance rounds, part of the way they work, there's definitely a big difference between the way Vengeance rounds work on a Stern Guard veteran squad in terms of dealing AV damage compared to many, if not most, other sources of AV. Most other sources of AV fire very, very slowly, but do good burst damage and have very low overall DPS values. Stern Guard veterans are kind of the opposite, where the Vengeance rounds are sustained anti-vehicle damage, which is not as common. It has both its advantages and disadvantages. Generally, though, I would say it is a little bit worse than the more bursty type anti-vehicle weapons. So, the Def Dread has kind of, just swing the push and pull or ebb and flow of the game in favor of DarkHero until there's more threatening counters. We do see the Melt-A-Bomb now providing the snare to slow it, but the Storm Boys will just jump on top of the Stern Guard veterans. And now, we do see Storm Boys, they do at least have their knob. That does at least make them tankier overall as a squad, giving them 1,300 hit points. So that's a pretty significant increase, the knob himself having 350 hit points. But the individual Storm Boy models are still not exactly tanky and can still bleed quite a bit. Obviously, though, the bigger advantage of having that Storm Boy knob is the stun initiation, which makes the Storm Boy initiation much, much more powerful than without it. But DarkHero is converting this into massive map control at the moment. He's going to get a Generator Bash. Can he make it a full Generator Bash? It does look like Ruthless at heart might try to answer this back, but there is the jump from the Storm Boys. They do catch some of the Tactical Marines, but they will themselves be disrupted by the Assault Marines. Or were they? It almost looked like they weren't, but this has got to be a winning fight. Got to be a winning fight for DarkHero at this time. This is looking super rough for Ruthless at heart. He does have the luxury of being in the lead in victory points, so he at least has the luxury of time in that regard. But he's going to find himself. What's even worse for him is just the economic state that he'll be in. We see right now he has plus 160 requisition, whereas DarkHero has plus 291. That is a bizarre and insane difference in income that you very, very rarely see. And it's one that I mean, this could be very, very difficult to recover from. It is something that it could potentially lock. It's certainly going to make it so that DarkHero is going to get to tier 3 first. That is absolutely undoubted. But it like at this point, it's even a question of like, does Ruthless at heart ever make it to tier 3 himself? So he will manage to get back out on the field, try to stabilize, and he did save enough resources to get more answers to this Death Dread, that now the Death Dread is under quite a bit more threat. Obviously, Power Fist on the Force Commander is a big one, often considered a very strong counter against vehicles with that Flesh over Steel ability, and it can be combined with the Melt-A-Bomb to really, really trap the Death Dread. And then the sustained damage comes out of the Stern Guard veterans. So obviously that hasn't been enough to at least to completely destroy the Death Dread, and then we see the Death Dread right there. Death Dread actually does not even have Burn as in Bits, and we actually saw it got an instant burst heal because the Avataste ability can actually be, it appears, I'm pretty sure it can be used on vehicles. Even though it does say friendly infantry. Okay, so Ruthless at heart stabilizing somewhat, getting some more requisition points back. So his income, still only plus 140. That's pretty rough. I think he has a lot of upkeep going with this double tactical Marines as well as the Assault Marines as well, though. And he's only got plus 10 on his requisition points. They need time to mature before he can start getting the full requisition income from them. And he might not even get that. Oh, man. This is the War Truck pushing in. It's too much of an anti-vehicle threat for Ruthless at heart to deal with. It's so rough for him at the moment. Even though neither one of these is upgraded with Burners and Bits or the Reinforced Plating respectively, but just putting 2 vehicles out on the field just makes it that much harder for Ruthless at heart to deal with it. So, okay, he does actually put a las cannon on the Devastator squad. I was about to ask that question since the last time I saw the Devastators, they did not have the las cannon. So this is now a very heavy anti-vehicle response, and against relatively weak vehicles, Flesh over Steel does land. I think that's absolutely the end of the Death Dread. That's actually a pretty fast end to that Death Dread. And yet it hasn't actually been enough to push DarkHero out. So now DarkHero is going to just oppress Ruthless at heart even more economically, getting the decaps on these requisition points that have just matured for Ruthless at heart. Okay, it does mean his sluggers are not there at the moment, though, for this engagement. Shotgun Scouts are in melee with the Shooter Boys, which I think they technically lose. Storm Boys will also jump in on the Devastator Marines, so Devastator Marines are gone. War Truck is kept alive, while the Shooter Boys, they get the decap, but they do not complete a full cap. But still, that resets the maturation of that requisition point, which still makes life really hard for Ruthless at heart. His economy is just in shambles. Meanwhile, Assault Marines are so low on hit points right here, so they will need to retreat. Ruthless at heart just cannot seem to fight and get DarkHero out of his base. And even when he does, it seems like the next time DarkHero wins an engagement, he just pushes Ruthless at heart all the way back to his base. Force Commander will teleport in. He gets a special attack on the Mekboy. That could be a kill on the Mekboy. No, the Mekboy teleports out just in time. He has, like, no health. Weird Boy is unfortunately missing some shots. What a play by DarkHero. Sorry, by Ruthless at heart. He finished off the War Truck, and then by extension, since the Mekboy was put into the War Truck, it was also a kill on the Mekboy as well. That's really what Ruthless at heart needed. That double kill on both the War Truck as well as the Mekboy really, really does help him to stay in this game. In fact, as crazy as it sounds, it almost seems like he didn't come out of that too bad. I guess the biggest thing, though, is his power income. Well, it's actually, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't call things too early yet. He's still in this. He's still in this. But that was still really, really rough. DarkHero still with a significant edge in both power income and requisition income. But I also think DarkHero probably... it depends on what he wants to do with his Mekboy. If he doesn't revive the Mekboy, he could make it to tier 3 pretty soon. But if he doesn't revive the Mekboy, obviously it's going to make it a little bit harder for him to fight back without his commander. So it looks like we might see... I was going to say, I thought we might see a response attempt on the power by Ruthless at heart. Doesn't seem like he's pushing in there just yet. Instead, it looks like he's going to be taking a fight. Just right in the middle, over the contested victory point. Obviously, Ruthless at heart, he had the luxury of time before, and he used that luxury of time, and he doesn't have it anymore. So he can't really afford to give up victory points much more. Force Commander might also give his life here, and indeed, that will be a Force Commander kill. So now Commander kills have been evened out. Assault Marines are in here, but they're still taking a lot of damage. They do try to get the jump to get further disruption. Unfortunately for Ruthless at heart, Shotgun Scouts also will be knocked down. It does also look like the zap has passed, and it results in one Assault Marine model killed. So DarkHero still with the victory point lead, and soon he should have the double cap in his favor again. Assault, or rather Devastators, meanwhile, they do need to be a little bit careful. I don't know if DarkHero sees them yet, but he's certainly moving in the direction. I guess he knows. Okay, he absolutely sees them now if they're shooting. Shootaboy is strangely actually just going for the power there. Whereas, because I definitely knew the whole thing that the Devastators were going for is that they were looking to see if they can get some generator bashing going on. It's just a rather unfortunate fact about something about Devastator Marines. They are such a hard commitment to anti-vehicle that if you actually kill all the vehicles, Devastator Marines seem to lack a purpose in life. They don't really do much. They do extremely light anti-vehicle or anti-infantry damage, so they're not very good in a fight against infantry. And really the best they can do, the two best things they can do after all vehicles are destroyed is they can capture points and they can destroy power generators. Okay, this is actually looking a little bit rough for the Razorback. The Storm Boys not attacking it, but put it in a position where they're trying to path block the Razorback. But I think now that the Razorback is at least out of there, and then the jump also from the Assault Marines comes in, that will at least make sure that the Razorback stays alive. Man, I don't know. He committed the Assault Marines in to protect against them. If anything, I almost feel like he should have just gotten the Shotgun Scouts out of there and just used a Shotgun Blast. Because that resulted in the Assault Marines actually really being put in under a lot of threat, nearly dying as a squad, in fact, just to protect the Razorback when I feel like the Shotgun Scouts could have gotten out. And just quickly knocked the Storm Boys back, driven out of there, and gotten back into the Razorback before taking any substantial damage. So double cap is in favor of DarkHero, 2-1. Victory points, Ruthless at heart is getting very, very close to the double digits. So he will get this back. But Tier 3 is now here for DarkHero, not choosing to revive his Mekboy just yet. And especially with what I see going on from him right now, he's definitely looking for... Okay, no, just kidding. I was going to say, looking for a Tier 3 purchase, and instead he buys back his Mekboy. So, you know, what are our options for the Mekboy in Tier 3? Now, obviously, the Mekboy does work well with vehicles. So you could get a looted tank, you could get a battle wagon. I also think the Mekboy does have some synergy with knobs as well. Have a taste, give them heals. Okay, and now that we see the custom force field, I'm trying to think. I always mix up the two war gears, that have similar visual effects, but I'm pretty sure if this is the one that can be put on another squad, this suggests a knob build for DarkHero. Let's make sure we take a look at this. Okay, no, I'm wrong. So this gives the mech a custom force field that makes him immune to melee attacks. So this is only on himself. I was mixing up the custom force field with, I believe, the super tough beam. Okay, big warp vomit stuns on pretty much most of Ruthless at Heart's army. Oh no, these tactical marines, they're slowed so much by and they shall know no fear that it was taking them a while just to get in melee around this piece of wood. In the end, it's going to be another one engagement, though, for Ruthless at Heart. And this is actually looking really, really good for Ruthless at Heart at this time. Because now he's in a position potentially to wipe the Sluggers. I don't think it's going to happen unless the Force Commander has anything to say about it. Ooh, okay. So that was a bit lucky. custom force field does knock back the Assault Marines attempting to tie him up in melee. So obviously I kind of done goofed. I thought we were going to get the super tough beam, and I thought that would suggest a Nob build. So Nob's a little bit less likely now out of DarkHero. Stormboy's jumping in yet again on the scouts there. So that is the scouts off the field. So the primary melee counter is gone. So that means Tactical Marines and Stern Guard veterans probably just going to want to get inside the Razorback to prevent themselves from taking too much damage. Meanwhile, what's going on right here? That's a weird boy gone. While I'm trying to look at what's going on with the Razorback. Should this be another one engagement for Ruthless at Heart? I guess not. And as we see, Devastator Marines are set up right here, but I think Ruthless at Heart was a bit distracted trying to manage this engagement. That is a Rocks! Oh no, he's not driving. I don't know if he's driving that out in time. He does not. I can't believe that just happened. And neither can Ruthless at Heart. That is one of the highest value Rocks I've ever seen. All right, so Devastator Marines trying to finish that bash. Oh, man, so many things happened that I couldn't even get out all the thoughts that I wanted to. But, man, the Rocks taking out the Razorback and then the Tactical Marines and the Stern Guard veterans that were inside. Huge loss for Ruthless at Heart, but obviously DarkHero taking some losses himself. Meanwhile, again, the Devastator Marine is really just doing as much as it can, especially given that at the time that it was set up over here, DarkHero actually had controlled most of the map. So actually it was Ruthless at Heart who controlled most of the map. So there wasn't much else for the Devastator to do other than just bash these generators. Also does give Ruthless at Heart a lot of red. In fact, oh man, does he have a lot of red. So 999 red. Now, of course, he's stuck in tier 2, so he can't really use an orbital bombardment, which of course is very unfortunate. So what I feel we really need to see out of him, and honestly something that he probably hasn't been doing enough of, is using the For the Emperor global, because that's the most he can do with the red that he has to have the most impact in engagements. He's going for a Dreadnought. Hey, Dreadnought. Obviously stuck in tier 2, the tankiest unit and toughest unit that he can get. Meanwhile, Assault Marines looking for a cap, but they will. I think they're going to jump out here. No, they're actually just going to commit to this fight. They have For the Emperor. Finally, we see a use of For the Emperor. It's put on the Assault Marines and helps them to make short work of those Slugga boys. So finally, just after suggesting it, I guess, just Ruthless at Heart, probably just after that, the pause in that fight, just realized he's just got a huge amount of red. He needs to put it to use. And yeah, For the Emperor was just the best he could do with it. Unfortunately, Assault Marines right here running too low on health. They don't lose a model, which is extremely lucky. Meanwhile, this Mekboy has set up. A grenade is thrown on him, but he does not get knocked down when he does have the custom force field. At this point, I think the Force Commander just needs to get out of here. So double cap for Ruthless at Heart, but at the moment, I don't think he can hold it unless he can get the Dreadnought here fast enough, which is a possibility. But I think there's enough time that DarkHero gets the decap. Here is going to be a drop pod placed behind them. I think it's just going to be a drop pod with Tactical Marines. Does make sense for him at this time. So Mekboy, what is the Mekboy going for? Okay, I guess going for the Sluggas, because that's what puts the most threat on DarkHero's infantry squads. But he needs to do something about this Shooter Boy squad. I mean, I guess he'll have time. He really needs to do something, but oh, what a timely special attack. Scouts, or rather Tacs, meanwhile, are in a lot of trouble right here. I don't even think they absolutely do not get out of this alive. So that's Tac squad. I guess that's just part of the steel rain, the disadvantage of the steel rain strategy. You go so far behind enemy lines that you're just in a lot of trouble. Shotgun scouts, meanwhile, not infiltrated anymore, detected by the commando. Commandos, however, will get knocked back because this Dreadnought was upgraded with an assault cannon. So Commando squad's still out here, though, but quite a bit lower on hit points. I think Assault Marines, they're so low on hit points, though. They're just fighting head-to-head against these Sluggas. They're losing. I would feel like, at the very least, even if we're in a last engagement, like, jump on the Commandos or something. He definitely had the energy. Victory points are so close, but ultimately, I think this does favor Ruthless at heart. But he's just, he doesn't have the victory points. He's trying to get it, but the Force Commander might not live to see the end of this. Okay, he does teleport out of there, but that does also mean he's off the field. And now Ruthless at heart has to worry about the sluggers that are on this. Oh my god, look at this. This is so close. And it doesn't look like the Dreadnought will get enough damage on the sluggers before they come. No! Oh, I thought it was going to happen for a second. I thought the model was killed and the cap was going to stop. Okay, it doesn't look like that's the case, but I think Ruthless at heart wins the engagement well enough that he gets the scouts out on time, and he will get the decap. The only real question... Oh, but they were knocked down by aiming by Love Dadaka. Shotgun blast committed. And yet again, this is so close. He needs the decap. There's so little time. This is such a scrappy ending. He gets the decap. DarkHero is committed so hard, though. The scouts go down, but the Devastators are still here to resume the cap. And with the Force Commander here, this is a done deal. DarkHero knows it, and that's the end of the game. Ruthless at heart will be taking this one.
Location secure.
As victory points eventually tick down,
This victory will long
and there will just be a concede before that does happen. So obviously, kind of a follow-up to the last game. Of course, the last game was submitted to me by DarkHero. This one, I think, was submitted to me by Ruthless at heart. So differences that I guess that explains the difference in the result. But nevertheless, hope you enjoyed it anyway, and have a good night.